So good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight for our College of Arts and Sciences graduate information session. My name is Matt Fox, and I'm the Executive Director of Graduate Admissions here with the university. Tonight we're going to cover quite a bit of information in a relatively short period of time. Essentially, the purpose of this session is to provide you with an overview of graduate study with the university and our master's programs offered through the College of Arts and Sciences. One thing we're really excited about is a new offer that we have for our class of 2020. We're going to be offering graduating seniors 2 free graduate courses if they continue on with a master's program here with the university. So we're going to definitely talk a little bit about that. We're also going to talk about the graduate admissions process. And an important piece of the session tonight is we're going to have a panel discussion. And with us this evening, we have representatives from our faculty and students from some of our grad programs that are offered in the College of Arts and Sciences. So what I'd like to do at this point is introduce some of the panel members, and then we're going to go back to the panel here a little bit further in the session and pose some questions for them. And then after the panel concludes, we're going to open up questions to the audience, and whether you want to ask me questions or ask the panel questions, we'll be here to help you out. So who we have tonight right now is Dr. Doug Badamont with our communication department, Dr. Deb Patterson with the education department, Dr. Stephanie Wardrop from the English department. And then in terms of our students, we have Zubia Abbasi, who's a current candidate in the MFA in creative writing, Sylvia Dragos, who's a current candidate in the MA in English for Teachers program, Kristen Lovell, who's in the MAD in Curriculum and Instruction program, and then Becky Turner, who's a graduate of our MA in Communication program. So, why graduate school with Western New England University? I think we all recognize that the world is going through a challenging time, and this clearly is going to have an impact on the job market. One thing we feel is a great investment is a master's program, and we think this will improve your employment prospects and future advancement opportunities. And we hope that for Western New England students that are finishing off their degree, we hope that you've had a great experience with us, and that you're going to want to stay on and earn your master's with the university, and we're confident that you're going to continue to have a great experience. Now, whether you're going to do this where you're working full-time and pursuing your studies simultaneously, or if you decide that you're going to solely work on your master's degree, we have some really nice options to help you accomplish your goals. They're super flexible to help you set the stage to take the next step beyond your bachelor's degree. To help set the stage for that, we've streamlined the admissions process for Western New England graduates, and as a part of helping to facilitate the process, or essentially incentivize you to do this, we want to help you save some money in the process, and we're offering 2 free graduate courses. And what this is going to equate to for our arts and sciences programs is a savings of about $2,300 to $4,800, depending upon which program you decide to pursue. Now, in terms of the programs that are eligible for this offer, we have the MA in Communication with a Public Relations concentration. We have the MA in English for Teachers program, the MA in Mathematics for Teachers, the MED in Curriculum and Instruction, and the MFA in Creative Writing. You're going to see that each of these have different requirements in terms of the total number of credits. We're not going to get into the specifics about that tonight. One thing I want to encourage you to do is take a look at our website, and I have the URL here listed for you. If you go to wne.edu/grad, there are going to be a series of links to redirect you to our program pages, and we have a lot of great information here for you to learn more about program requirements, admissions requirements, learn a little bit more about the faculty teaching the programs. But one thing I do want to emphasize is please use us as a resource, whether it be the faculty that are here tonight, students, definitely grad admissions. We're going to be here to help provide you with information about how our programs could be a good fit to help you take next steps based on your goals, and also help you navigate the graduate admissions process. So with our programs, if you're not aware, at the graduate level, we offer 4 11-week terms, And this really sets the stage for students to accelerate their studies, whether it be on a full-time or a part-time basis. And what you're going to find with all the programs we have listed here, you can finish your program in 2 years or less, and doing that quite comfortably. And the graduate term structure that we have in place really sets the stage for that. So we have 4 11-week terms that run between the summer, the fall, the winter, and the spring. Now, as far as the offer of 2 free graduate courses is concerned, I want to walk you through some of the basics as to eligibility requirements. And we do have a lot of great information on our website. If you go to the URL that I posted here, wne.edu/grad, that's GRAD, we created a new page. There'll be a link menu item on the bottom left-hand corner that says WNE May 2020 graduates. It'll spell out the terms of eligibility and requirements to receive the 2 free courses, but I do want to run you through some basics right now. So we state here that it's available for WNE May 2020 bachelor's degree graduates. For some students that are considering continuing on after they finish their senior year, you may be in a situation where you have classes that are going to take place over the summer or perhaps into the fall. You can still take advantage of the 2 free courses. You know, if you wait till a little bit longer based on finishing degree requirements, you just simply have to wait until you finish your bachelor's, and then you can cash in on this opportunity. The key will be you need to be enrolled in a master's program, and you have to be enrolled in at least 6 credits to be eligible, and that's 6 credits per term. So we have some students that may decide that they want to start with 1 course. In that case, you wouldn't be eligible to take advantage of this benefit for the short term, but once you transition to enrolling in 2 courses, you could take advantage of this opportunity at that time. So there is some flexibility built into this. One thing I do want to emphasize, though, is that this is available for the 2021 academic year. So it's going to be available for beginning in the summer of 2020 through until the spring of 2021. And remember that I mentioned earlier that we have the 4 11-week grad terms. So the spring graduate term begins in April. So a little bit different format than what you've experienced with your bachelor's degree program here with the university. So as far as the graduate admissions process is concerned, we have done a lot to try to streamline the process for Western New England alumni or current students who are getting ready to graduate. One thing I do want to mention is that we are still accepting applications for the summer and for the fall, so there's definitely still time to take next steps. I've already been having students reaching out to me wondering if that is truly a possibility, and the short answer is yes, and we do want to make this possible for you to take advantage of the free course opportunity. With the rolling admission policy, there is not a deadline. So what that means is once your application is complete, we're going to get a decision out to you typically within about a week. So it's a relatively short turnaround. As a current student and soon to be an alum, you will not have to pay the $50 application fee. We will have access to your Western New England transcript and any other transcripts that you have on file if you transferred to the university. I'll be able to access all of these documents once you submit your application. And hopefully this will be good news for everyone. For our arts and sciences programs, we do not require the GRE. So I know that's a sigh of relief for many students. So there's no standardized testing required for the master's programs that are a part of the 2 course offer that we're doing. For our application for admission, you'll be able to access that online at wne.edu/gradapp. That's GRADAPP. It's a relatively simple process in terms of the form itself. It'll take you 5-10 minutes to fill out, and it'll allow you to upload all of your documentation. We'll provide you with updates regarding anything that's missing. We'll also notify you of your formal admission decision through your online application portal that you set up. So what I want to do at this point is transition to our panel, and I have a series of questions to pose between the faculty and our graduate students. So what I'd like to do is start with Doug, and the first question I have, and then Doug, after you answer this, I'd like to transition then to Stephanie, but why graduate school with Western New England, and what sets us apart from other schools in your opinion?
So the primary reason to do graduate courses at Western New England is that it's got a lot of excellent faculty who can provide you with a lot of one-on-one instruction. We've designed the program to be actually quite flexible. It's designed so that if at some point in the future we get a lot of students in, we can open up a health communication concentration. But right now it's on public relations. And what we do is to provide a lot of some backfill. So students who are interested in public relations but come to it from a different field, come to it from business, come to it from any other discipline, can get the background that they need to go into a public relations position and thrive from the get-go. One of the things we know about the public relations field is that a lot of people going into it don't get formal training. They're just sort of thrown into the fire and said, "Here, go for it, figure it out." And we try to prepare you for that so that you can hit the ground running. We also provide a lot of opportunity for independent study and independent work. There's a thesis option, there's an independent study option, and sometimes students have been able to translate work that they've been doing or volunteer opportunities that they've been engaged in into a public relations experience. I just finished overseeing a master's thesis about the I'm blanking on the name of the town now. The Beckett Arts Center, Beckett, Massachusetts, where one of our students had been volunteering for a while, and he decided to systematically analyze its public relations outreach efforts. And along the way, he wound up making some really interesting academic connections among the study of urban public relations versus rural public relations, and how the different institutions in those areas need to approach their tasks quite differently. I had another student about a year ago who had worked for the Springfield Museums and examined the way in which their public relations outreach efforts were structured and was looking for ways to improve those. So there's a lot of practical and hands-on application that we allow you to do with your studies. And you can tie both the practical and the theoretical into your graduate studies here. One of the other things we know about the public relations field in general is that it's growing rather rapidly. The Bureau of Labor Statistics suggests that the number of jobs in the field is starting to level off a little bit, but it had been enjoying a 15 to 17% annual growth rate for much of the 2010s. And there's still a lot of opportunities out there. So one of the things that you can get from studying here at Western New England is an opportunity to work one-on-one with faculty, to apply your research to projects that you care about, and to be able to hit the ground running. Those are the primary things that I would suggest benefit our students.
Great, thank you, Doug. So Deb, your turn.
Hello. So why Western New England? Well, ironically, our master's programs in curriculum and instruction, we offer one at the elementary level and one at the secondary level, are completely online. We designed them 10 years ago as online programs to meet the needs of teachers, primarily who have busy schedules and are coaching and raising families. When we designed the programs, we did it in consultation with a company that works with institutions, particularly universities, to develop really thoughtful online instruction. I will confess I was very dubious as a teacher. I thought online, no thank you, just don't get that. But I learned a lot in the process of designing the program. And one of the things that we were able to do, similar to what Doug was saying, is really blend theory with practice. That was sort of my condition in the design of our master's program, was that it couldn't just be all theoretical. It really needed to be applied concepts. So the structure is you are given some readings at the beginning of the week. You respond to those readings. You respond to each other by midweek. And then the second half of the week, you do some other activities that we call try thises, where you are applying what you have read, either to your current practice or to, we send you out to either interact with each other or to build on what else might be happening in your classroom. We also have differentiated assignments for people who, we've had people in the master's programs who weren't just teachers. We've had people who were thinking about or were currently teaching in hospital settings or criminal justice settings, and really wanted to better understand the process of designing curriculum, mentoring people around them, differentiating curriculum. And so they chose our masters as an opportunity to build that skill set. Another reason to choose Western New England is we all are teachers ourselves. We've continue to be in classrooms on a regular basis. You are taught by faculty who have all taught and been in schools as part of their career. So this is not a theoretical exercise for us. And another is the structure of the program is it's about half and half is content oriented, and about half is either professional practice or pedagogy oriented. And so that split has worked for a lot of our teachers, particularly with the focus right now with English language arts being integrated across all curriculum areas. All teachers must include some language arts instruction in their teaching. That's embedded throughout the program. And teachers have had opportunities to develop mentoring skills, to develop differentiation skills, to better understand learning theory, and then really apply those practices. The other thing that is unique about our program is both the elementary and the secondary have an arts integrated course. And as we think about meeting the needs of diverse populations, right now, what we all need is some creative outlets. This course is unique. It was something that I was determined to translate to the online. We've done a couple actually short studies. It's been a very powerful course in particular, and there are no other programs that offer an arts course as part of an online master's degree. That has also been a really it's been interesting to do some research on people's responses to that course in particular. And I think that sort of captures the highlights. Happy to answer questions as we go along.
Great, thank you, Deb. So Stephanie, I know you're doing double duty between the MFA and the MA in English for Teachers program, so I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Okay, I'm going to talk MAET first. I'm going to try not to repeat a lot of what has been said. I think flexibility, though, is a really important aspect of our success as a program. Nearly everyone, in fact, I can't think of any exceptions in the last couple of years. Nearly everyone who's in the MAET program is currently teaching. So they were very well aware that you guys have been in the classroom from 7:30 until 3:30. Sometimes you're going to be a little late because you've got a coach or you've got a meeting after class, and generally our instructors are very flexible about that. And in regard to that, also, it's a hybrid model, which means that within the 11 weeks of the session, usually it's an average of about 3 classes that are online where you don't have to physically come to campus, which is especially useful if you're living somewhat far away and not in the immediate area. Usually that week is for work, writing on a paper, or you'll have a shorter reading assignment, and people definitely appreciate that. But they resist going online, although we do have 2 classes a year that are completely online. That was in the before times, though, pre-COVID. That students like the discussion and the interaction, and I always really like to see how much they share their own experiences and help one another out. One of the things I'm most proud proud of about this program is its reputation in the community. For you guys who have been out doing your student teaching, a lot of your teachers have not just come through our program or one of our programs, but they then pass on by word of mouth, like, oh, you got to take these sessions, the MAT classes. It was so helpful for me. It was so great. At least half the people we have come in have heard about it from somebody else, and I think that's a pretty cool thing. We do focus more than your undergraduate English classes on teachability. How can you use this in the classroom? Is this a text you can use? How could you use it as independent reading, or would it work within the curriculum? I know the former head department chair of English at East Longmeadow incorporated a lot of stuff from my YA Lit class. So there's a lot of attention paid to the needs of the students as teachers, in addition to providing a different way of looking at things sometimes, of text that you guys have seen hundreds of times and you just don't know how to approach it from a different angle. So I think in a lot of ways in these weird times, since nobody's going anywhere and nobody knows what's happening in the fall, it would be a practical way to keep moving in your career. You could get some credits toward professional advancement and then get a job and come back to us, or just keep going. So I think that covers the MAT. The MFA, whole different animal. It's still the 11-week model, but there are 2 residencies each year. So we are gearing up for summer right now. There would be normally a 1-week residency on campus where everybody comes from all over and they get to work. It's where they get to meet each other and really bond together as a cohort, which is not just fun, but it's really important because you're going to be sharing your work with each other. You get a sense of what people are working on. I really like to see the bonds that grow out of them, out of residency, so I'm really sad that it's online this year. And then after that residency, after you've worked with 2 of the mentors, you'll have your mentor assigned to work with you one-on-one in terms of workshopping for the next 11 weeks. Really for us, and this is where it gets kind of confusing, it's 22 weeks. So the summer begins, and then you've got summer and fall, and then in January we have another residency, which is almost the Vermont border up in Layton, and it's a really beautiful place. People really like it. It's cozy, it's intimate, it's a great week away from the real world. And what else do I want to say? I think we've been very flexible about the kind of genres you want to work in. If you want to write fantasy, if you want to write horror, if you want to write literary fiction, we've got somebody who can work with you and encourage you in that way. Usually, and actually because we're growing, we may have to increase this to 3 mentors per session, but usually our mentors have been one of our faculty who you guys know, or maybe somebody that you've wanted to have a chance to work with and you haven't been able to yet, or a visiting writer. This summer it's Jacqueline Michard, who wrote, I think it's 35 novels. The Deep End of the Ocean is probably her best known one because it was made into a big movie with Harrison Ford and Michelle Pfeiffer. Annie DeWitt was our visiting mentor last summer. Since then, she's become an agent, and she's picked up already 2 of our students to represent, and I'll let Zubia maybe talk about that a little bit. What else do I want to say? So you get a chance to work with writers with a lot of different approaches, a lot of different backgrounds. It's amazing to see how people grow as writers, especially the ones that I had as undergraduates. That's super fun to be able to see how much they've developed and where they go. And it tends to take people places they didn't really imagine going, if that makes any kind of sense. So check us out. I think that covers it for both. I think you should talk to the students now.
Yes, and that's where we're heading. Thank you, Stephanie. So I'm going to start with Zubia. And if you could just share why you decided to pursue your master's with Western England, that would be great.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why I specifically chose Western England was, one, I was already there for my undergrad. So it was just like a logical decision because it was so close to home, and I couldn't really afford living off like on campus anywhere. So if I did decide to go for an MFA, it would be somewhere else because there's no other MFA program near us at the moment. So it would have required me to pay more money, and it was just wasn't going to work. And I knew the faculty here. I had worked with all of the teachers in the English department, and I knew that they were going to be part of the MFA as well, as like writers during the residencies or mentors that I would be working with. So it was already a very comfortable environment, and it was kind of like a no-brainer for me at that point. I was like, yeah, I do want to do it, and I already had a really good relationship with everybody, so it just made sense. You feel at home with the program. So yeah, so basically, I mean, that was the real reason. Was one, I couldn't really afford anywhere else, and this was close to home. And
Yep.
number two was just I knew everybody, and the environment was really nurturing and really comfortable. So it just made the most sense.
Okay, we might be experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties there, but I'm going to transition. Kristen, see if we have a little bit better luck with your mic, and we'll keep moving along. So thank you, Zabia.
So one reason why I decided to pursue my master's with WNE was that it was online, and I was really looking for a program that was completely online, so I had an opportunity to do tutoring after school or participate in any extracurriculars that my school offered. Plus, since I'm teaching full-time, I wanted the flexibility of being able to do the work whenever I had time to do it. It was also really nice to already know all the professors and kind of have an idea of what the expectations would be. And it's also fairly affordable, which was also something I was looking for.
Thank you, Kristen. So Sylvia, what's your take on this one?
I would agree with everything that's been said already. I went to WNE or Western New England for undergrad. And so I kind of had an idea as I was graduating that I wanted to pursue my master's at Western New England. And actually something that Stephanie had mentioned had happened to me. When I did my student teaching, the teacher that I was working with had also done her master's at Western New England, and she only praised it and said the most positive things. So I went into it knowing that it was going to be a really great experience. And as I'm closing out and finishing my degree, I can only say, great things about it. And the flexibility that they talk about is very much real and very much there. As a teacher, working those long hours, I still take the hour-long drive to Springfield from Connecticut because I know that my professors are really flexible. They understand that you may be working, and they're open to that and they understand that. And then also in the program that I am in, the variety of classes and content that I'm getting is really diverse, and I'm reading authors and discovering content that I may not have found on my own or had experienced in my undergrad classes. And I'm finding that there's a lot of direct application that I can bring into my classroom, especially teaching high schoolers. There's a lot of direct parallels, whether it's with actual content or just skill level. And like Stephanie had mentioned, the professors go into the class knowing that we want that direct application, and so they kind of form their classes around that and their syllabus around that. And there's so many books where I go back to my kids and I say, hey, this is a book that I read and I did it in my course and maybe you would enjoy it, whether it was a young adult book or something that I read in a different course, or I use kind of the lens that we talked about maybe to teach a lesson. So a lot of what has been said in terms of the flexibility and the variety of classes was why I walked into the program, and it very much holds true, and it's been a great experience so far.
Awesome, thank you. So Becky, your turn.
So I went to Western New England for undergrad. I was a communication major, and it was about when I was a sophomore, the MA communication program kind of began, and I knew about it, didn't really know what I wanted to do after graduation. Once I hit senior year though, thinking maybe I should get my master's, and I briefly looked at other communication programs, and Western New England was definitely the most affordable. So I was one reason why I chose to stay with the school. I also liked that I already knew all the faculty. I already knew Kodiak pretty well, so moving online really wasn't that big of a thing for me. And I also liked with this program, it's 100% online, because I didn't know after graduation, like I was looking for jobs, didn't know where I was going to end up, what was going to happen. I mean, luckily I got a job and started a couple weeks after graduation, but I was able to roll right into the program in the fall. And the flexibility that everyone's already kind of talked about, kind of being able to work around my own schedule with the classes.
Great, thank you, Becky. So we're going to move on to our next question. And Becky, I'm gonna stick with you just for now. What was your experience with the workload when you transitioned from your bachelor's degree to a master's? How was that for you transitioning for the two, or from the one to the other, I should say?
Yeah, I mean, like workload-wise, it wasn't really that different. So I was already kind of used to the communication faculty, kind of how they gave work. I'd say it was definitely a difference though in shifting from in-person to online classes, kind of workload-wise, because you're kind of on your own in a way, I guess, because you're not going to class every day or every other day. And there was one where a couple of them I had to write some more papers, more so than I would in class. But I mean, overall, I didn't really see that much of a difference.
Subia, what was your take on that?
I felt like with the workload, it was interesting because for the MFA program at least, because we're working mostly by ourselves and we're online most of the time, we're steering the ship for ourselves most of the time anyways. And so it's not structured the same way an undergrad classroom is. And we're deciding what we want to do with our work. So I felt like it was interesting in the sense that like in undergrad, I just felt like I had so much work to do, while I knew that I was working more during my master's, but the work was kind of leveled out for me. Like I decided when I got to do what I wanted to do, and I knew I had a deadline, and I worked my schedule towards that deadline, but it wasn't something that I had like when I was an undergrad where I was like, okay, I have to do homework, or like it's due every single day or something like that. So the schedule is very different from our programs. And I like that because it gave you the opportunity to kind of be able to take the rest of your life and put your work in that. Whereas if you're an undergrad, it's kind of hard to do anything else if you're stuck in a class or you have a like workload that you can't really compromise anything against it.
I think there's a little bit of a lag with the audio. I apologize, guys. So, Kristen, with the online MED, what's your perspective, or what was your perspective when you transitioned?
I thought that there's more weekly assignments, but they're split up more. So it's not like as if you have everything due on one day. Some things are due on Wednesday, some things are due on Sunday. So that really lets you split up your time. But it's very manageable, even considering having a full-time job on top of it.
Yeah, we get that often. We have a lot of working professionals that are trying to juggle grad school and the workload. So, Sylvia, that said, how was it for you to transition from your bachelor's to the master's in terms of the workload?
I would say that the transition wasn't really difficult, or wasn't necessarily like there was an outrageous difference between the undergrad and the grad work.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that the expectation for your graduate work, you're looking for a higher degree, so there is a higher sort of level of analysis or maybe writing or reading comprehension that you're working with. But the professors definitely keep in mind that most people are working full-time jobs or part-time jobs, and so they pretty honestly will say that they're not trying to, overburden you in any way, and they'll be pretty purposeful with the assignments they're giving you. So and in addition, in undergrad, you're taking a class probably every day or every other day, so you're frequently doing homework, whereas with the grad class, you're maybe taking 1-2 classes. And so the workload is actually comparable in some aspects, because you're juggling maybe fewer classes and just balancing it out with something else, whether it's a higher level of work or something along those lines. So it's not an outrageous difference, I would say.
Okay. Great, thank you. So we're going to go on to our next question. This is the home stretch. We've got one more after this. So Sylvia, I'm going to stick with you. What do you feel were or are some of the differences with grad school versus the undergrad experience? Just overall, I know we kind of touched on this a little bit already, but is there anything else beyond the academic side of the house that you found was different?
Yeah, I would say some notable things. Something that comes to mind is Western New England already has small class sizes, but in the graduate program, it's even more sort of niche, and you have a really personal opportunity to connect with your professor, but also with your peers. And I found that in my experience, I've been able to make really great connections with the other people in my classes and actually foster these relationships into, talking about ideas for our work life and taking some of the content and how can we directly apply it to our work. And so on the relationship side, I've been able to build really great relationships with my peers. A lot of us take a lot of the same classes in sequence. So there's kind of a sense of camaraderie within the program and the degree that you're working towards. And it just lets you build a greater relationship with your professors, because, they can kind of work with you throughout the program. And I also find that there's some more personalization with grad school in a way. So for example, I'm currently working on a capstone, and the idea that I had and that I was passionate about, even though it was slightly different from maybe some of the language that was in the assignment, it was still accepted because I had, an idea that I really wanted to pursue, and I had a professor that was really excited to work on it with me. And so I'm finding with the graduate program, you can do a lot of personalization and even more so build that sense of camaraderie within the program.
Great. So Kristen, how about you?
I would say one of the biggest differences is that the program is completely online. So being able to discuss with my other classmates through the discussion board rather than in person is a big difference. And then another big difference would be that the assignments are more tailored to what you're doing in your career than maybe some of your undergrad classes were, since it's so specific to what you want to pursue.
Yeah. Okay. Becky, your take on this, especially being that you did a fully online program as well?
I definitely found that you're sort of responsible for your own deadlines, like having been there in undergrad and you kind of go to class and you have a professor say, oh, hey, like papers due next week or next month. I found that necessarily wasn't the case in my program, but definitely for myself, I go through the syllabus and plan out in my planner, like when papers are due, when all the assignments are due, because I was also working full time. And if I had other things going on in my life, I wanted to make sure that I made those deadlines and got everything in either on time or earlier. So just a lot more time management and organization.
Great, thank you. Sabia, your take on this being in the MFA program?
Matt, I think Zubia might have left us. She thinks that she was entered in as an observer or a listener. So she hasn't been able to follow us, and that's why she's been hard to hear.
Okay.
So she might not be here.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the update, Stephanie. So
yeah, she just texted me.
Okay, my apologies. So we'll move on to the final question. And Becky, we're going to stick with you, I suppose.
Okay.
Is there any advice you would give to current seniors looking to continue at Western New England for grad school?
I'm definitely glad that I did it, and I'm glad I did it right after I graduated. So I graduated in May. I think I applied shortly before I graduated, and I started that fall. So yes, I was working full time, like starting in the summer, but once September rolled around, got my books, just went like right back into school mode, because I know now I would probably struggle a little bit trying to get back into the swing of school. So if you have the opportunity to continue onward, just do it.
Awesome, thanks. Kristen?
I highly recommend continuing with WNE for grad school. I would also say just think about exactly what you want to do with your career moving forward to make sure the degree you're getting will allow you to do that, and to think about what format works for you. Because for some people, online would work great, but for others, they really need that in person.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good point. Thank you. So Sylvia?
I would agree with what Kristen and Becky said about just going right into it if you have that opportunity, because I think keeping the momentum that you have from undergrad is really great, especially if you went to Western New England as an undergrad and you're comfortable in the community. It's a really great opportunity to just keep fostering those relationships. I would also say take the opportunities that professors are giving you and really within courses seek out ways where you can use the content that you're learning about and how you can apply it directly to the career that you're currently in or one that you're looking forward to. I know for myself, I say that because even though I'm teaching now, I don't know if in 10 years I'm kind of toying with ideas of where I might go beyond education. And so I have talked to some of my professors about, other things that they have done or how this could be applied in other settings or in other career paths. And I think that's something to really sort of leverage when you're in graduate school and kind of make those connections.
Awesome. Thank you. So at this point, we're going to open up to questions, and I haven't seen anything posted yet in our chat room. So perhaps that means that you guys did an excellent job and we're very thorough with what we presented here this evening. But I think at this point, what I want to do is I'm going to put our contact information up here. And, I want to encourage any current senior, soon-to-be graduate, to contact Grad Admissions, to contact members of the panel, the faculty in particular. We're going to be here to help you out and navigate the process. Our email and our phone number here. But before I sign off here momentarily, does anyone have any parting words or questions for me? Anything else that we should share to the group? Okay. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight for our online info session for the College of Arts and Sciences.
One thing?
Sure.
Just to clarify, the MFA is different in that you enter either in July or in January at the start of the residency. So you couldn't jump in September or October and onwards.
Yeah, that is a great point. Thank you for sharing that, Stephanie, and my apologies for not catching that sooner. So at this point, again, thank you everyone for joining us for our info session.